Welcome to the Shop Systems DECODED podcast. In this podcast, we talk with the makers and the operators of today's greatest shop systems. My name is Fabian Wesner. With me is Tim Niemeyer. Together we are ROC, a consulting boutique specializing in guiding companies through complex e-commerce projects. Today, we welcome Elena Leonova, who is Senior VP Product of Spryker. With Elena, we will speak about Spryker's vision, the product, and the market. We will dig into the technology, ecosystem, and roadmap. Before we dive in, a quick disclaimer. I was Spryker's founding CTO from 2014, but I left the company at the end of 2018. Today, however, we are in excellent hands with Elena, who is the ideal person to speak about Spryker's present and future. Elena, it's a pleasure to have you here. Could you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me. It's definitely a great pleasure and an honor. And everybody, thank you so much for listening in. My name is Elena Leonova. I am head of product for Spryker. I have more than 15 years of experience working for different digital commerce platforms. I started my experience working for Magento, and then from there, I went to BigCommerce, which is another digital commerce platform. And then that path actually led me to where I am right now, which is Spryker. And digital commerce is definitely one of my passions. Since I started going on this journey, I want to continue because there's always so many different initiatives and so many different challenges that need to be addressed and need to be solved for everybody who wants to go digital. And that's pretty much touches everybody.
Cool. Thank you for the introduction. It's actually really cool to talk to you because you have a very wide background. It's not like you only know one system, but you have a very good overview about the whole ecosystem actually in the different shop systems. I think every one of us knows that there is a multitude of shop systems out there. Can you explain a bit, like, what is the overall vision, particularly of Spryker?
Yeah, absolutely. So Spryker is really unique when it comes to digital commerce. When we started working on Spryker, and what actually attracted me explicitly to Spryker has been this niche focus on enterprise customers, every single one of them having really complex and sophisticated commerce needs. And that's exactly what Spryker has been built from the ground up to serve the best, because there's so many different e-commerce systems that can solve each specific problem. However, when it comes to not being limited to what is available out of the box with digital commerce platform, Spryker can likely solve those problems likely the best.
So to build on that a little further, how would you describe the ideal customer profile, the ICP of Spryker?
Spryker's ideal customer profile are enterprise companies or the companies who aspire to become one. And that actually comes down to the amount of the revenue that those companies are making, which typically puts them in those kind of large enterprise segment, but also, most importantly, the sophistication and complexity of their use cases. When we look at our customers, those customers come from really complex industries. For example, we focus a lot on solving automotive needs. We focus a lot on industrial goods in manufacturing, as well as CPG. And all of those companies have a lot of things in common when it comes to the complexity of their products, the complexity of business processes, the complexity of everything that actually needs to be set up on their side in order to serve their customers. And also, one of the other really important factors here is that multi-layered approach to how they sell. Therefore, in our ideal customer profile, you will see a lot of customers who do marketplaces because they typically go from another company to their dealers to their other merchants who then serve the end customer. And that's pretty much kind of what actually centers everything that we do at Spryker when it focuses on the complexity of the needs.
So I understand that the customers have a very complex business model or complex use cases. Which USPs does Spryker have to cater those needs?
Yeah, that was one of the really excellent questions that I was asking myself when I just started working for Spryker. And instead of just asking everybody internally, I decided to actually run it by customers and partners and see what they say. And what was really interesting to hear and find out from partners and customers is that the reason why a lot of our customers choose Spryker is because we can actually serve those complex use cases better than anybody else. And that actually comes down to the number of different business models that they can power with Spryker. And also, most importantly, the second factor is that they always come to Spryker with a lot of unique requirements that they cannot solve anywhere else with any of the other platforms. And how they typically describe it is the future-proofness of the platform. So there are lots of customers who come with their unique requirements that over time evolve but they always have been able to evolve the platform with them. And that future-proofness and kind of platform being built for complex use cases from the ground up is actually what, from my point of view, makes Spryker one of the strongest players for those specific customers.
So I think we dive deeper into the technology and how you specifically cater those needs in the second part of this episode. Maybe one question beforehand. You've seen different other shop systems, specifically Adobe Commerce and Magento. I think both have in common that you have code access. So there is a little bit of similarities in both systems. How would you basically say, okay, there is certain use cases for that one and there are certain use cases for this one? Like when would you recommend Magento? Because I'm asking that because it's very rarely that you basically have you're talking to someone who knows two shop systems in depth. And I know that you've not been with Magento for quite some time, but I think the underlying philosophy is basically something which you are still kind of aware of and up to date with.
Yeah, absolutely. So when it comes to Magento, Magento has been extremely successful because of its open source approach. And that's actually what helped Magento to become popular. However, when it comes to actually using that product over Spryker, there are significant differences. So looking back at the Magento experience, so Magento has been mostly built for those mid-market customers, mid-market companies, and the ones who wanted to do a lot of things themselves, mostly actually trying to do customizations, tailoring this product to a lot of their local requirements, a lot of their customizations. And over time, at that time, that was actually something that was quite unique because a lot of the other platforms were not as flexible. So now looking at Spryker, so Spryker obviously is in a way similar because I know you also actually have access to the code and you can understand what's happening. But because of the underlying technology and an underlying architecture being specifically addressed and focused on solving those complex use cases, addressing high lows, addressing low high performances and lots of catalysts, and also multi-layered business models, that actually puts Spryker in a completely different bucket from Magento. Mostly because the customers of Spryker are in a completely different ballpark than the customers of Magento. And actually on that note, there's other differences because Magento most of the time has been used by the fashion companies, a lot of the companies who are doing apparel and others, while looking at our customers, and I already mentioned it, we see a lot of customers who come to us from those really complex industries that historically have not been served really well in a digital commerce way. And what is actually really interesting about that segment is that there's still roughly 80% of transactions in those specific segments that are happening offline because of complexity of products and how those companies that sell automotive or industrial goods or manufactured products, complex products, are afraid to actually bringing those products into online world because they don't believe that they would be able to build the processes that will make the sale of those products easy. And that's exactly what Spryker is tailored to do and also has been built from the ground up to support.
Maybe let's dig into one specific term. You said multi-layered business models several times. How do you define what's a multi-layered business model for our listeners?
Yeah, absolutely. So multi-layered business model, the way I would define it is when you think about the simple business models, you have yourself as a company and you sell to your consumers. That is a pretty much standard flow and really well understood. And all of us as consumers typically interact with shops that do something like this. We either go and buy clothes or products and stuff like that. However, when it comes, for example, to the multi-layered business models, you may have your company that manufactures spare parts for a specific industry. And then instead of selling direct to consumer, then you sell to other B2B companies, the dealers or resellers, or anybody who is in between. However, it's really important to maintain the product consistency. It's really important for them to maintain access to customers, to understand kind of how everything is happening, all the business models. And then this intermediate then actually sells the products back to the consumers. And sometimes it's not even those 3 layers. Sometimes it's even more than that. And that's what we're seeing a lot with our customers because they actually sell to their dealers and dealers sell to some smaller organization that those organizations immediately then eventually reach out to consumers. And that level of complexity is definitely not easy to solve in digital commerce. but that's what we see a lot of our customers are solving for them with Spryker.
Okay, Elena, thank you. This was good. But can you please also maybe say a few examples? Like so far it was pretty theoretical about the customers, but who are the actual customers? So what are, maybe give, I don't know, 2 or 3 examples of companies that are maybe multi-layered business models, maybe have complex things, maybe from automotive, whatever comes to your mind.
Yeah, absolutely. So just to give you a couple of examples on the breadth of customers that we have at Spryker. So one of the really notable examples of customers that we serve at Spryker is the company that is really well known in Germany called Aldi, but also even outside of Spryker. So with Aldi, we are serving the consumers, which is really interesting because I so far talked about those complex use cases and industrial goods and automotive and others. But with Aldi, for example, we are actually serving all of their global sites, selling products directly to consumers. And that also has a lot of complexity because obviously all the products there might be perishable, maybe not. So then you actually need to make sure that all the products are being delivered in time and also ready for digital commerce. Then on the other side, that you can look at somebody like Scania. So they have their own trucks and they wanted to open up a marketplace where they can sell their trucks, used trucks, to resell them basically. And instead of just giving the trucks in a standard business model for a specific price, they decided to have an auction where different companies can bid on how much this truck they would, or for how much they would like to buy this truck for. And that was something that we were able to support for them. So this is something that you would not be able to see in any of the other platforms. Then there's other examples where we actually right now working with customers who want to serve their dealers in a way that is going to be then reaching to the consumers. And that is something that we are also at the moment working on, where the company manufactures spare parts, and then those spare parts are being delivered to and bought by the dealers, and then the dealers are able to service their end consumers as well. So those are completely different examples. And then when we look at our customers, sometimes it's actually quite amazing to see what they are doing. And with that, just realize that there is another customer that I typically like to talk about. They call sourceability. So they have been able to build on Spryker marketplace for the different like electronic parts, the names of which I don't even know. But ultimately, that was their niche, where they had a lot of different like electronic parts for different machines that they were able to sell in a marketplace environment, where they joined a lot of different sellers together with them and built this marketplace, which actually by the traffic and the number of products is pretty much of the size of Amazon. And that is a perfect example of the future-proofness of Spryker, where they started with much smaller business model and they have been able to grow it over time.
Okay, that's cool. So what you're saying is these pretty complex and not usual use cases. This is like these kind of companies should use Spryker, right? But
yes.
Who should not use Spryker? So I mean the opposite question. So for whom Spryker is not the right choice?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's an excellent question, and I'm glad that you're asking it, because I think it's always really important to understand who is not the right fit for a specific platform. And when it comes to Spryker, obviously the opposite is true. So if companies have a really standard business model where it's just them and their end consumers, and what they want to offer is pretty much a standard digital commerce experience where the checkout process is understood, it's a really simple kind of experience reaching customers, where the complexity of presenting products to consumers, to the buyers, is not there, because if you sell t-shirts or books, you don't have that level of complexity. If you don't sell any products that need to be manufactured and delivered on demand or built with certain modifications, especially complex modifications, then it's not going to be the right, Spryker is likely not going to be the right solution for you. So ultimately, it's the opposite of complex business models. And there are lots of different platforms that support that, because a lot of the people who are doing digital commerce, they're actually looking for kind of those simple use cases and simple business models. However, in the segment where you have a lot of complexity, there are not that many alternatives that you can explore as a business. And that's what actually makes Spryker really unique when it comes to that level of complexity. But we already talked about that in detail.
Okay, cool. So when you talked about these examples, it sounds like Spryker knows pretty much about the customers. How deeply does Spryker interact with the customers? So how is there a customer success team? So is there something, does Spryker make sure that the projects are successful, or is it more like here's a license, go ahead?
Yeah, excellent question. So we also, I would say from my experience, are quite unique in that in this area as well, because we take it really to our heart that our success is measured by the success of our customers. And because our customers are those large companies with complex business models, we're able to build really close relationship with every single customer. So that also means that, looking at our organizational design, we have first, obviously, our value engineering teams. And the value engineering team sounds really interesting because it's not a traditional name, I would say, but those are the business consultants that get really deeply involved into customers' business and to understand the challenges and the opportunity that those customers have, and help them together with us paint the road of what else they can be trying from a business model perspective and how Spryker can be leveraged in order to support their growth. There's obviously customer success team as well that then is engaging with customers on a regular basis. And we do those transformational maps with them, kind of where from the moment when the project has started, we understand what are going to be the next business opportunities and how we can support the customer on that journey with technology that we already have. Or maybe there are certain ideas that they have which is not yet supported out of the box with our product. And that type of information that finds its way to me, where on the product side, we then make decision how we want to support those type of customers. Then when it comes to building the project, there's also another layer of support that we provide. So we have our project managers who engage really closely with our customers. And in certain cases, we have our partners who build solutions. In certain cases, we actually support our customer in launching their first projects really tightly. I know if the need or the opportunity is there and kind of they actually require that extra help. But we want to make sure that we always provide them services, consulting. We provide them advising on how to either do it from technological perspective in the right way or from a business perspective. So to summarize all of it, our customers are always working together with us. We provide them from the initial idea to support during the initial project launch. So then working with them to understand what their future goals are and how we can support them on that journey. And then if there's going to be any kind of new opportunities that I want to know about, that being basically one of the first ones to know, so then we can understand how from the product perspective, we can continue anticipating what their needs are and evolve the product together with them.
And you're also personally talking to the customers?
Yes, absolutely. Of course.
As part of the value engineering teams or part of what team, or just like?
No, so so I obviously, as a head of product, I talk to customers regularly, same as with partners, because it's really important for me, and that's probably one of my personal philosophies, that the great product is the one that anticipates the needs of the customers, and we can deliver something that they don't even know yet that they actually need. And the only way to do it is, in addition to understanding the market in general and looking at all the trends, is to also talk to customers and ask those 5 whys, where we can understand where exactly they want to go next. So then by the time when they actually arrive to that idea and that conclusion, we already have a solution for them. So the 5 whys is probably one of the known approaches in product management. So when you ask a customer of what is the next thing that you want to do, or maybe they will say, we want to build a marketplace. And then you ask another why, why do you want to build a marketplace? And they might say that because they want to grow their market. And then you ask, why would you want to grow their market? Apparently, it actually might be because we want to serve our customers better with allowing them to sell additional products. And we thought that with our traditional B2C or B2B business model, we cannot do it. So you kind of the more you ask those whys, then the more you actually find out what are the true things that they want. And that is something that helps me understand the true motivations that some of them have in order to want something or not want something.
Sounds like a little bit you're going into a rabbit hole with the customers. So basically asking why over and over until you get to the very bottom of it.
Yeah, but it's definitely a really helpful technique. And also, I think even when it comes to choosing the right platform, probably also going to be really helpful, because sometimes it's easy for people to make decisions on the surface level. But then the more you understand about them, the better you can actually serve them especially when you know a lot of different platforms and a lot of different solutions that those platforms can provide. So understanding the true reason is always helpful.
Point before that was actually that when I'm a customer of yours, of Spryker, and I want to use it. So I'm not only working with a partner, which I assume would be a system integrator, as you said, like a partner. I'm also closely collaborating with you, basically. So I have two parties where I can tap into the knowledge. That's good. That's cool. It's like a premium package, so to say. Not all vendors do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with you that not everybody has this luxury to support customers in this way. Over years, we definitely improved and enhanced our collaboration with customers. Now we're hosting regular herd events where we can actually listen to our customers and understand their needs. I know if customers want to talk about their challenges in the product roadmap one-on-one, we'll also provide that. Sometimes our even product team flies out to meet our customers where we can sit down and do a detailed workshop with them. So there's a lot of things that we provide in order for our customers to be successful.
All right. So in the first part, what we parked more or less was basically the deep dive into what does integrating Spryker look like. In the past minutes, I basically researched a little bit on sourceability. I'm pretty impressed, to be fair. I mean, if I look at the features, I see like BOM, like bill of materials management, bill of materials price benchmarking, a lot of quoting, like very, very intense B2B features, I would say. I'm probably not the only one who's curious and interesting, like which architecture Spryker has to support such very special use cases, I would say. So can you elaborate a little bit on the architecture technologies you're using?
Mm-hmm.
Like let's start from the very bottom, maybe like programming language, and then go further from here.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think one of the benefits of Spryker is that from a technological perspective, that Spryker uses a lot of typical technologies that a lot of people that actually work in the digital commerce, web development industry know and actually understand really well, which gives a lot of the customers who are going to be choosing Spryker flexibility and freedom to start the projects and support them on an ongoing basis. So when it comes to technology, so Spryker is a hosted solution, and we work with all the different cloud providers, but the majority of our customers choose to be hosted on AWS. Spryker itself has an open code policy, so not an open source, but open code, which actually helps our partners, but also our customers who eventually want to have their own development teams to understand the intricacies of the solutions, who want to understand what they would need to be dealing with. And the Spryker itself is written primarily in PHP, which also, as I mentioned, that's one of the benefits because a lot of the web applications and a lot of the digital commerce solutions historically has been written in PHP. So there's a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience that people have with this approach, and they can relate and easily get those solutions up and running. I know there's going to the next level. So we always build Spryker in the API first approach, especially from a perspective of all the different complex requirements that our customers want to solve. I know you already looked at sourceability as an example, and every single customer of ours always wants to add something on top. They always want to integrate and bring in their additional solution, which in the industry called composable commerce. And that obviously requires them to have a lot of APIs coming from our end. The benefit also from the open code policy is that a lot of our customers, they can actually go really deep and change a lot of things to the business model that they have. And that, on one side, is a huge benefit. A lot of people who don't have experience with examples of that, they worried about upgradability and how easily it would be to maintain it moving forward. But we also explicitly cover that problem because we want to make sure that there is certain guidelines on what you can change. And then if you are adding additional capabilities to it, you can easily still upgrade to the newer additions and newer capabilities from Spryker as well. So kind of to summarize all of it, Spryker is a hosted solution for our customers, which simplifies their day-to-day operations. And with an open code policy, they can actually understand how the product is working, but they also have a lot of freedom and flexibility to go really deep and change a lot of things which represent their specific business model. And that's really key because for a lot of large enterprises, they would want their system to, system of choice, in this case, Spryker, to actually be adapted to their businesses. not adapt their businesses to the system that they have to choose. And kind of with all of the technological decisions that have initially been made on Spryker, and we still continue to live in that philosophy, there are lots of benefits and opportunities for our customers to do exactly that.
Awesome. There was a lot of information. I think there's a couple of things we should go through and discuss further. Let's start from first thing, which you mentioned. Spryker is employing like typical technologies such as PHP. That would basically imply that I, as a PHP developer, naturally, I could just go there and start coding. Also, like I could just see the code base. At the same time, I also see that there is safari.spryker.com, there is e-learning centers and so on and so forth, certification programs actually. So I see a lot of like knowledge and learning. That would be a hint of there is like some kind of onboarding needed at least before a developer could be productive. What do you think? Like, how complex is it to learn? I'm mid-level experienced PHP developer. Could I just sit down there and start coding, or would I need to go through, understand concepts? What do you think? What do I need to get started?
Yeah, absolutely. So I do believe that obviously as a PHP developer, you will have easier time understanding how to get started. But for that reason, because we see a lot of our customers and eventually wanting to have their own teams that can support and can actually continue innovating within the company, we provided a lot of initial learning, onboarding, understanding the technological concepts on what to change, what not to change, how to actually write performant code, how to create upgradable solutions, how to best integrate Spryker with all of the other systems of records, because there's always a lot of integration that happen. And all of that is being explained. We also have a lot of toolkits that we provide together with Spryker, and all of that is aimed for developer experience. My personal philosophy is that when you build a product like Spryker, which is open code, but also highly flexible, there needs to be a lot of focus on developer experience in order to make all of this magic that we talked about easier, because a lot of people, especially a lot of business owners who are choosing digital commerce platform, they will need to compare all of the flexibility with the costs of actually achieving that flexibility. And we truly believe that our unique selling proposition is that flexibility and future-proofness, making sure that customers can do whatever they want, either from start or eventually. But that is supported by the flexible and efficient developer experience. So then all of that can be achieved much more elegantly, faster, and cheaper. And therefore, I know there's a lot of learnings and materials for customers and their developers, or just freelance developers in general, to get up to speed and be as efficient as they can.
Cool, thank you. That helps a lot. The question is, like you said, open code several times now. I think everyone is familiar with the concept of open source. Like everyone knows GitHub and repositories and free software, more or less. And all of these terms are often put in a pot and mixed together. Can you elaborate a little bit on open code? Like what is the difference to open source, for example? What does it mean, and what's the benefit?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's start from, I think, the very beginning. So open source obviously means that it's open and everybody can use it in different shapes and forms. Now, they don't need to pay for the usage of the product. So, for example, Magento had two editions: Community Edition, which has been free, and then Enterprise Edition that actually came with additional support, but also access to additional capabilities. So, in Spryker case, we offer open code option, where all of our partners and all of our customers can easily see the code of Spryker and see more than 100 of different capabilities that we provide and how the code is structured, how the framework is looking at what kind of technologies we use and all of that. However, in order for them to use it, they obviously have to buy license from us. I know the product is going to be specifically provided to them. And then it also comes with a lot of support and all of those different other value engineering, customer success, product management access, product team access, all of those other benefits that they will get from working with us. So ultimately, it's transparent, which is a huge benefit. And I truly believe that that's a great asset for a lot of business owners to be able to see what kind of product they're actually buying. But obviously it requires a license in order to use it in production for their business.
Perfect. Okay, understood. All clear here. The next one, which I have from your very first answer, actually still on the list, where I would like to dig a little bit deeper, is the term composable commerce. Many people relate composable to terms like microservice. Can you elaborate? And also what you said, capabilities actually. So you said hundreds of capabilities. I would imply that for sure means you don't have 100 microservices. From my understanding, you have a very different architecture. Can you say a few words about that one?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's start with composable commerce. So when it comes to commerce and probably evolution of commerce, if we're looking at kind of maybe 10 years ago. So previously, the tendency was for every single vendor to try to provide as many capabilities as possible out of the box. But realistic, and especially with my experience being on the side of product teams for at minimum 3 digital commerce platforms, and I'm sure it's actually applicable to a lot of other products as well, it's not possible to excel at every single thing. You cannot just have a platform. You cannot have at the same time the best search. You cannot have all the payment providers supported by yourself and figure out all the complex taxes and CMSs and analytics, like every single thing. But at the same time, initially and previously, kind of when the digital commerce was just starting, that was an expectation. And everybody started with suites and kind of where you wanted to do, like you wanted to go for the coverage of every single capability, but to some basic level, and you were just picking and choosing which capabilities you will have more depth than the other ones. And then at some point, the narrative has changed because each customer understood and decided for themselves where they want to compete and differentiate. So for example, for somebody, it's actually about the storefront experience and what they want to offer to their customers. For somebody, it's actually all about how quickly they manage orders. Like maybe their initial storefront is quite simple because they sell to B2B companies, and it's not the same level of need as if you were selling fashion products. But where they actually want to differentiate is on the order management and how they can actually manufacture those products to order and deliver on a certain date. So in that actually called for composable commerce, where each customer can still choose a platform and then kind of compose the end solution for themselves, which has exactly those kind of depths of capabilities in those areas where they want to differentiate. So that's kind of the direction that we truly believe at Spryker. So we want to give our customers a platform to start with, which has a lot of capabilities, which are organized and really to use kind of capability that they can choose, like pick and choose from, but at the same time allows them to go really deep with certain partners. And we have a lot of partners that we trust and collaborate with where they add the depth for some of those areas. For example, we work with Algolia for AI-enabled search, and a lot of capabilities there. For some of our customers, it's important. For some of our customers, they have only 10 products, and you don't need to have that depth of search capabilities. Some of our customers actually take online orders. Some of our customers don't. So for those who do, we need to give them all the different flexible payment options and have a great checkout experience. Some people just place an order and then they actually send invoices from their ERP systems because that's what their business process is. And that's, to me, actually what calls for kind of this composability, which allows you to choose where, as a customer, you want to go deep and then find the right partner that is going to support you. But the most important part from what we do from Spryker is give you an ability to easily integrate and have kind of this system coming together really nicely.
I like the example of search. It's way more concrete, like of search and the others you said, because it's way more concrete than what you can read in the reports. So Gartner, for example, I just opened it here, a PBC, which is a packaged business capability. A PBC is a bounded collection of data schema and a set of services, APIs, and event channels. So, well, it just basically features like search, CMS, whatever it could be, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. And I think the composability is sometimes misunderstood because it's kind of like such a big term, but when it comes down to what it is, it's exactly allowing you to go really deep with the right providers. And we at Spryker understand that every customer is unique. As I already said, somebody wants to differentiate on the storefront experience, somebody wants to differentiate on the back office kind of capabilities. And regardless which direction they go, we would be there to support them with the flexible platform that we have for them and our partners as well.
And I just like coming back to the architecture, from my understanding, Spryker it's a monolith, which is a very bad term these days or considered to be a bad term, but it's a It's a modular monolith, right? So basically what you have, these set of features and packages, you can basically decide which of these you want to use more or less, or how does it work? For example, what I've learned is that SAP Commerce, like formerly Hybris, what they have is recipes. And in these recipes, you basically have feature collections, more or less. You could also say capability collections. So for B2C, B2B, and so on and so forth. I understand Spryker is working somewhat similar, right?
Yeah, so absolutely. So Spryker historically has been built with a lot of, like, every single capability is represented as a set of modules. And that gives a lot of flexibility to all of our customers to choose at the end what exactly they would like to use. Kind of out of the box, we come with kind of pre-built packages for standard business models, like B2C, B2B. We also support marketplaces. We also have kind of a whole set of capabilities to support unified commerce, kind of basically all of those, buy online, pick up and store capabilities and stuff like that. But those are kind of the larger business models. You can go the next level down and still kind of understand, would I actually use, for example, payments in my system, which is really interesting because a lot of our customers, they just choose not to do that because all of their invoicing is being run by completely different systems. So our customers have the flexibility to choose kind of what to use and what not to use and have the setup that works for them. And like when it comes to those recipes that you mentioned from Hybris, I think in a way we actually do similar things because we tailor it to the customer, and that's what they can work with us or the partner during the initial project setup. But the benefit of it is that they can start small and then continue adding more capabilities as they grow. And all of that is going to be kind of consistent and consistently provided by Spryker in a consistent experience.
So let's assume that sounds really convincing. So assume I'm a technical decision maker, maybe a developer. What's the best starting point? I'm interested in Spryker. I want to learn more. I want to test it out. What can I do?
Well, to learn more about Spryker, because Spryker is very capable and powerful of lots of different things, we want to make sure that every single potential customer has the greatest experience understanding all the capabilities. So typically our sales process starts with the customer reaching out to us, and then our amazing pre-sales team actually gets on the call with customer and puts together a demo of all the capabilities that this customer might need. So this actually gives us an ability to demonstrate a lot of different nuances and intricacies of what Spryker can do, because there are a lot of things that we can demonstrate that it would be hard to actually understand from just like looking at our repositories that are also available. So to summarize and going back to where would you start, I know the best way, especially for the business owners, is to jump on the call with us where we would give the demo, we will walk you through everything that you can access to. And we always try to do a good job of actually putting it in the perspective of specific customers. So then you don't need to guess how it's going to look like in your case. We will try to get your products. We will try to get a lot of kind of similar styles. So then you will have a great idea. And then for technical audiences, there's a lot of information that you can find by looking at our code.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm doing right now. So I'm at Spryker GitHub repository at the demo shop. I could just start basically checking it out and testing it from there, right? It's at least the demo shop is MIT licensed. Probably the Spryker itself, the core, as you said, it has probably a commercial license, but it should be fine to just start.
Yeah, as I already mentioned, so for a lot of the business owners, they typically don't go on the route of GitHub, but for a lot of technical users, and especially partners or the technical teams from the customers, I definitely advise to go there because that's where you can see all of the capabilities that we have. You can get an idea of how often we add the new capabilities, which happens many times. We just recently had our annual conference for customers and partners, and just in 2024, we had more than 1,200 releases with new capabilities. So there's lots of new things that we're adding to the platform, and that's kind of like from a technical perspective, probably one of the best ways to understand everything that's happening there.
It sounds good. Like basically, I'm just still on the demo shop here, like everything Dockerized, so I could just basically kickstart from right there. Say I did that, and I'm happy with it, and I want to go further. and say, I want to build, so we've talked about food, we've talked about automotive, sourceability, electronic parts. Let's say I want to have a furniture store. I want to launch my furniture store based on Spryker because furniture is, as we know, always very complex in terms of logistics, for example. What is the approach of delivering such a custom project? Like, what would be my starting point? Like would I talk to you, and then I probably have my system integrator I've been working with for decades now, like Spryker certified, of course, can help me. How do I get started? Like, which systems do I need? How do I tackle the storefront? I mean, the storefront is always a big thing because it's very, very custom. And then in the next step, let's maybe also discuss the hosting. But let's start on like where do I start building? Which different pieces do I need? Which capabilities? Capabilities like developers and like what do I need?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's an excellent question as well. So when it comes to starting Spryker project, we always see that our customers succeed the most when they work with a highly experienced partner. And the reason why that's highly recommended from our point is because in all the projects, there will be lots of other integrations and all of the other kind of connections with other systems that will be needed, because digital commerce never runs in isolation by itself. There's going to be CMSs, there's going to be ERP or PIM systems, or whatever the IT landscape of every specific customer is. And it's really important to have, first of all, the partner that understands how your landscape looks like. Also, that experience in Spryker or similar technologies. But the more experienced they are in Spryker, the better results are going to be. And we also see that our customers succeed the most when they actually have, over time, also their ongoing support, technical support, whether provided by the partner or they actually build the teams on their side. But from my point of view, it's always kind of for the setup like Spryker, it's really important to have technical staff that can not only get the project up and running from the beginning, but also support with ongoing changes and ongoing kind of new ideas, because all of our customers always come to us, that we already talked about it, for those additional ideas that they will always have, and they never stop not having them. So that's kind of what my recommendation is, and everything that comes to the integrations, to customizing the storefront, is typically going to be coming from those technical teams, whether from partner or also building expertise in-house, if that's the route that the customer wants to go.
So is there like a dominant strategy? Like, when would you go through a partner, or when would you build up in-house capacity?
Excellent question. When it comes to, when would you want to go with a partner? I think in most of the cases, you would actually go with a partner, and that would be my recommendation. And we see a lot of our customers doing that exactly. The reason being is that all of our customers, and would highly advise them to be experts in their businesses, not to be experts in technology, and rather have trusted partners who can support their ideas with our help and also the help of our partners. All of our partners also really work really closely with us, including the product and technical teams, to convey all the insights back to us. So therefore, kind of the platform is always being enhanced with the latest needs. But unless the customer already has a lot of experience with Spryker or really experienced internal teams who want to learn Spryker, which we also have examples of that, then they can obviously do it themselves. But it's key to have a trusted partner that can support the future.
I would challenge that a little bit, because from my point of view, like having been also involved in big projects, I think being reliant on a partner is very good to get you started, and it's also very good to get you to launch. It's also very good for the next 1-2 steps. But forever in the long run, being dependent on a partner in an increasingly digital world, and also where the shift is going from offline to online, especially in B2B, it's still ongoing. I think online is going to be just as important as running your brick and mortar store.
Well, I know that's an interesting point that you bring. So I think it's not finding the balance, to be honest, because it's not about what I would not, at least from my personal experience, what I would not recommend is just treating your technical partner, like a solution integrator, as just a partner who gets you up and running for the initial project. You need to find somebody who's going to be there on an ongoing basis as well, because your online and digital businesses are going to continue growing. And it's important to make sure that you have this ongoing support. But at the same time, I don't think it's wise in all the cases to build the technical expertise inside, and rather actually rely on partners who always going to bring more expertise. But it's always, from my point of view, it's a personal choice.
It's probably a question of weight. So you probably never want to be like fully independent, but you always want to have access to superior knowledge, so to say. So it could be, the question is basically like how to find the proper balance. And that again depends upon the complexity of your business model and also like what you want to do and achieve. Probably there are companies which look for a steady state, and then it would probably not be wise to build up your 2 digits in-house team, but rather rely on a partner where you can on call ask for help, resources, doing something new basically. To be fair, I'm just realizing also we have a bias because Fabian and I, we are basically being like asked for help in those projects which are increasingly complex where people want to build up their own capacities. So probably there's also the other end of the spectrum, which we do not see.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, but you probably have more first-hand experience with that as well. But I think it's not black and white whether you need to have a partner or not, but it's kind of like the spectrum in your current need as a business to understand how much you need to rely. But I think kind of diversifying the involvement of the partner versus doing something inside, like in-house, is also important. So there needs to be a balance, but how much into what spectrum is really important case by case.
So having just figured out basically that there is different setups, I'm just not sure if the next question which I'm about to ask is valid, which is like, which type of team is typically needed to operate a shop? Because there's very different customers, but is there like some kind of like best practice or blueprint approach?
I don't think that there's actually a best practice specifically for that reason, because some customers have a really complex project that they want to get up and running from the beginning. Like, for example, we talked about how one of our customers wanted to only launch an auction model, and like that required a lot of upfront development. And then that obviously requires a lot of people from their side, the business owners, the product owners who understand kind of the business behind it, as well as the technical teams, both from the UX perspective, from developers, from the people who are going to be providing the quality assurance that can actually make it happen. And some of the other customers, they over time just need a little bit of hand-holding or kind of some technical help in order to stay up to date and continuously add small enhancements here and there kind of to their business models. But one of the most important roles that we started seeing recently that not every our customer has is actually having a product owner, like somebody who looks at their system as a product end to end, because having just a digital commerce asset or a website is not enough. Like, it's definitely a product that evolves in the context of a customer over time, and having somebody who's going to be overseeing kind of that, understanding how that is aligned with the business goals of the business, and also bringing that back to the technical teams, whether those teams are internal or external, doesn't matter, but it's really important, because when customers are missing this, then the digital commerce is basically being evolved according to different requests coming from different teams and not aligned with each other. So I would say that if somebody is really serious about their digital commerce and that type of strategy, they need to have somebody who owns it as a product.
If you discuss product owner, I mean, both of us, we have in common, we used to be product owners at some point, longer or shorter. Like, I have a pretty technical background. My hypothesis is that product owner need to be very, very hands-on and very technical. So in order to basically also be a challenger to the development team. Now, if we are in the context of a company which is running an e-commerce shop, very complex one in the context of Spryker, how would you describe a product owner? Should that be a rather business-driven person, or should it rather be a technical mindset?
Mm-hmm. I think it also depends on where the needs of the customer is at the moment. But from my point of view, the biggest success, like ultimately when you look at digital commerce, it's all about selling more products. So it's a business tool. And it needs to be aligned to the bigger business goals, first of all, because it's actually supporting the company's way and the vision to reach more customers, to give them a self-serve tool to buy more, to continue coming back to you and actually reorder in a more self-service way. And especially if we're talking about B2B, where I know kind of it's a hybrid approach, and I know all of the buying processes are really complex. So I think it's definitely important for the business, for the product owner to be business oriented, so then they know which problem they are solving. And then when we go to the technical side of things, obviously, if you don't understand the system and its capabilities and kind of how it can be achieved, then you're going to be limiting your understanding of the possible future. So I think it's always a balance. But I also truly believe that the product owner needs to be both business-oriented and technical-oriented. But I would rather start with somebody who understands the business and can translate it to a reliable engineering team that can actually make a lot of things happen. And the more technical this person is, the better, but I wouldn't say it's absolutely critical to be only technical.
Do you see this product owner on the customer side or on the system integrator side?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I personally believe that it's much better when customers actually have a person who owns the strategy for digital commerce channel on their side, because ultimately it's part of their business. However, when it comes to defining working hand by hand or shoulder to shoulder with engineering team, it can be somebody who is coming from the solution integrator side that is helping translate that vision into more technical approach, into more specific technical requirements. But the ownership over this channel and also having all the relationships and stakeholder management access is really important it's really important, and that therefore it's really important for this person to also have access to the business side of the customer. And with that, I believe that it's much more successful when there's a person on the customer side, but also probably having some help from the solution integrator side as well.
So you said that's actually two people, right? So one from the customer side, so who knows the business, who knows requirements, who can talk to stakeholders, etc. And then some more technical lead or architect or whatever on the partner side who can translate it into requirements.
100% agree. Basically, it's not only that the product owner on the customer side has access to the knowledge, as you said, and knows all the people in the organization to ask the right question or knows who to ask the right question. But I think it's also a lot about to in-source the knowledge on the platform you're building. I mean, we are talking about projects which are in the upper six-digit area, usually millions, maybe even tens of millions of euro. So I think it's super, super important to have that knowledge into the organization. And why I'm pointing that out is I've seen it different way too often. And that's a high risk. I mean, you're spending so much money and then you have the most knowledgeable person external.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. That's a good point. I have not thought about that, but yeah, that's one of the other angles how to look at this. It's absolutely important to have that knowledge internally and understand the capabilities and what else is possible. So yeah, that's an excellent point.
Cool. Okay. Could you elaborate a bit more about the ecosystem of Spryker? So we heard there are system integrators, there are other partners like Algolia, I think you mentioned. So how does the ecosystem look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I already mentioned, we truly believe that ecosystem is really important. I think it's in general important for digital commerce space, but at Spryker, we truly believe in that. So we have two major parts or types of partners. We have solution integrators, and then we have technology partners. So with solution integrators, those are the partners that actually take all those customer projects, ideas to life and supporting the customer and with basically initial launch, getting the project up and running, and then depending on the situation and the agreements between the customer and the partner, supporting them in the long run. And typically, a lot of our partners actually build long-lasting relationship with our customers and stay together with the customer for a long time. So when it comes down to technology partners, those are those additional in-depth capabilities that we have spoken about when we talked about composability. When it comes to technology providers, we partner with providers of payments and search and tax and other capabilities that actually can give our customers that in-depth capability in a specific area. And that allows our customers to then decide do they want to have, for example, a more detailed capabilities when it comes to taxes? For example, tax in the US are really complex, and there to have Vertex is critical, while it's not as important to support that level of granularity and that level of business requirements somewhere else in Europe or some of the other countries. Same goes for annual payment integrations. I said, for some, it's really important to have a deep integration with different payment options. For example, now we partner with Stripe really deeply. And some of our customers don't even take online orders and rely on their ERP for that. So those are the type of partners. And we always make sure that we have access and we provide access to our customers to the best of breed partners. So then they know that if they do decide to go really deep in one area, we have the right solution for them. And we simplified the ability for them to get those capabilities.
New customers, new prospects are usually coming directly to Spryker or coming through a partner? How's that usually working?
So we have both motions. I know we have our own internal sales team that reach out to customers and build relationship with them. And then we also have our partners who also work on looking for the new opportunities, who reach out to customers. Some of their customers sometimes transition from one of the platforms that they had before to Spryker. So both of those motions are at play at Spryker, and I know we see results with both of those approaches.
Okay. And these partners, they need to know Spryker, and you need to know what these partners offer, right? Both sides.
Absolutely.
How does that work? It's complicated. So how make sure that the partners are providing value to the customers?
Yeah. So if you talk about solution partners, that's where we also spend a lot of time to make sure that every single partner of ours, they are experienced Spryker, so then we can guarantee that the quality of the work is going to be top-notch and excellent. So we have the certifications, we have the knowledge base, we have a lot of capabilities provided to partners. So, for example, every single partner needs to go through a partner onboarding, and that actually sets them up for success. Then if, for example, a partner is working with customer to launch a certain project, I know our partner success managers are going to be in touch with the partner. We're always going to know how the project is going. We're going to be there to support both the customer and the partner with internal insights and the knowledge, and sometimes even help if the partner is solving a hard problem and they would want to have some help, extra help from us. So that is something that we're doing. So we're really hands-on. And again, even from the product side, I can tell that what we're doing is we're hosting regular product roadmap updates for partners, which are going really in depth, where we share kind of what are the new capabilities that we're releasing, what they can expect next. And then from that, we also cater certain product enablement sessions for partners, where if there's going to be certain areas of interest for partners where they want to learn more, then we go into next level, not just talking about what it is, but also how to work with that. And then also there are lots of opportunities for our partners to be engaging with us even ahead of it. So, for example, when we're exploring a new area or the new opportunities, we're either doing open discoveries with our partners, so where they can actually share their insights and shape what we're going to be working on next. Or in addition to it, we also have early access programs where partners are the first ones trying products and the new capabilities from us, giving us the feedback, and that helps us make the product much better. And then obviously that also gives partners expertise and experience working with those products as well. So there are lots of things that we do to help our partners be as successful as possible. And all of that was the goal to make our customers successful with them.
So Spryker is open code. That means it's used by developers, right? It's not like Shopify where you just as a merge go there and configure it and you do not touch the code. Spryker is a product for developers. And there are probably hundreds or thousands of developers in the world working with Spryker. How do these people communicate with Spryker or with each other?
Yeah, great question. So we have a really robust developer community, and we have people, I'm not going to lie, like how many different countries, but it's definitely a broad spectrum of countries and where those people are coming from. So we have a developer community, which is our portal, where we also have a team that is specifically dedicated to running and operating our developer community. It's called Commerce Quest. It's open for people who work with Spryker to join. And then from there, we host, again, monthly user groups. We host regular hackathons. Some of our partners also host open hackathons where other Spryker developers from any other part of the world can join. Some of those hackathons are virtual, some of them are in person, and we get a lot of knowledge from that. Also, all of those developers can ask for additional help. And the most important part that it actually helps us enrich our platform. So just last year, we have launched 2 new programs. One is called Platform Contributions. So we have, and we see actually a lot of our partners contributing with a lot of new cool ideas to the product because of the open code policy that we have. So that is actually enriching our product and the quality of it. And then we also launch, in addition to it, Innovation Lab concept, where kind of everybody in the ecosystem can build something that is absolutely new and cool. And then if we do not decide, or we haven't decided yet to actually bring it into the core, that stays available on the Innovation Lab GitHub repository. So you can probably find that as well. And there's going to be lots of new capabilities where partners and developers and freelancers actually build new stuff that gives our customers, other partners, ideas on what else is possible on Spryker. So ultimately, all of that is kind of this collective knowledge and the ecosystem-led approach to developing the product makes this product future-proof and unstoppable, because there is so much more knowledge that is happening and so many new insights that are happening on the platform that definitely broader than everything else that we can do just by doing it internally.
So it's a technical approach, like basically it's new modules and bundles and people can contribute, or it's like pull request against the existing core? It's not an app concept like Shopify has, right? It's more like a feature. It's more technical.
Well, yes. At the moment, so we have the platform contributions, which are the pull requests that are going into enhancing the core of our product, and that actually being absorbed as the core product itself. And then the Innovation Lab is basically those additional kind of capabilities that are not like turned into apps, but those are the capabilities that they are available openly to anybody who just goes to GitHub, and they can take a look at what they are. They can use them in their projects if they want to. They can be inspired by it and then create something similar. But those are the capabilities, and we saw so many amazing things just being developed over the course of this year since we launched this product or this program. And there's going to be more in the future that we want to do, kind of going into more additional applications. But that is kind of still new, and that is something that we're working on. So that is not fully up and running yet, but there's going to be more of the benefits of the ecosystem-led approach that everybody is going to see from us when they work with Spryker as an ecosystem.
Nice. So, what's on your roadmap? What's coming next in the next 12 to 18 months?
Yeah, absolutely. There's going to be lots of things that we're working on. So when it comes to the future of commerce, so the future of commerce is really interesting and really exciting. And every year and every probably 3 years, commerce reinvents itself. So what we have been seeing a lot was our large enterprises that they actually want to up-level how they sell to their customers. They want to provide more immersive experiences, kind of like in a B2B environment. When they reach the customer, it's not just a digital commerce self-service portal where you go and like buy certain products. They want to kind of bridge the lines between the commerce and also the kind of sales-led communication. And I'm like, I know it's not super specific yet, but ultimately it's all about the hybrid experiences for the company that sells to the companies that actually buy. So there's going to be a lot of new capabilities that we're going to be working on in that area, because we definitely see a shift in terms of how people buy, how people approach each other, how people actually build relationships between the buyers and the sellers. And so far, digital commerce has not evolved into that as well. And that is going to be kind of going from, the kind of initial touch points and building relationships for initial orders, as well as kind of how customers will be able to get ongoing support for the assets that they purchase. Because again, going back to Spryker, a lot of our customers sell really expensive, really complex products that require additional products, require additional services, require additional maintenance. And all of that is not necessarily how commerce at the moment has looked like. So there's going to be a lot of those capabilities for the business users. because we want to up-level the experience that they can provide when they sell products to their consumers, whether it's going to be B2B or B2C. And then obviously, because I know we are, as Fabian, you said, rightfully so, that we've always been focusing on developers as well. So there's going to be way more also capabilities that we're going to be providing to developers as well, because the speed of innovation is changing, and there's always need to be new capabilities that those business users want. So we're definitely looking into a lot of developer efficiency ideas, from providing SDKs, providing AI-enabled developer tools, providing AI-enabled integration capabilities. So then kind of the time to launch and time to go to live with the new capabilities for our customers is going to be much shorter. So those are kind of the two big areas in which we're looking at. So changing the way people do, changing the way people actually buy online by emerging sales motion with a self-service motion and providing that hybrid experience, and also making sure the developer experience of the platform continues to evolve and becoming more efficient and seamless.
Amazing.
It's a lot to come. I mean, Spryker is 10 years old now. I mean, we just said at the beginning it was 2014. Probably there was a big 10 years birthday anniversary party somewhere. Many things already built, many things, even more things to come, it looks like. And what you just said makes perfect sense, right? Because you have exposure, you have knowledge of very complex business models, and going deeper there makes just a lot of sense. Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, this was a fantastic hour, a bit more than an hour with you. I think we run out of questions now. I think you answered everything. Wonderful. Lots of information to process. If anyone has a question to you, like about Spryker, how can people approach you? What's the best way to talk with you or chat with you?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really open to new connections, and I love meeting new people, especially in commerce and technology. So the best way to reach me is LinkedIn. I stay really active there, and please reach out. I would love to discuss new ideas, new opportunities, what are the new trends that anybody might be seeing, or maybe specific questions about Spryker. My LinkedIn is open for anybody to search Elena Leonova at Spryker, and I'll be definitely in touch with you.
Great.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Elena. And
have a great day ahead over here.
Have a great day.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I hope that you found this information helpful, and your listeners as well. Thank you so much.